After the wedding toast, my brother laughed and said, "Don't worry, he doesn't actually own anything here." The room chuckled. I nodded, sat back down, and sent one email from under the table. By Monday morning, the laughter was gone, and so was the property, but I'm getting ahead of myself. The wedding was at Ashford Mill, one of those restored industrial buildings with exposed brick and Edison bulbs hanging from iron beams. My younger brother, Jason, had rented the entire venue for his son's wedding. My nephew, Derek, was marrying a woman named Vanessa, and the whole affair cost more than most people make in 2 years. Ice sculptures, a string quartet, salmon flown in from Alaska, the works. I sat at table 7 with my wife, Ellen. We were positioned near the back, close to the kitchen doors, not exactly the family table. Ellen squeezed my hand when she saw the seating chart, but she didn't say anything. She never does. That's one of the things I love about her. She sees everything, processes it, and waits. The ceremony had been fine, standard vows. Vanessa wore a dress that probably cost more than my first car. Derek looked nervous, which was appropriate. Marriage is terrifying when you're 26 and think you know everything. I'd been 26 once. I knew better now. The reception started with champagne. Lots of champagne. Jason spared no expense, which was ironic considering where the money came from. But nobody else in that room knew that. They saw a successful real estate developer celebrating his son's wedding. They saw prosperity, legacy, the American dream with a trust fund. I sipped my champagne and watched. The first few toasts were predictable. Derek's college roommate told a story about a road trip. Vanessa's sister cried through a speech about childhood memories. People laughed, people clapped. The mood was warm and loose. Then Jason stood up. My brother is tall, silver-haired, and confident in the way only wealthy men can be. He wore a custom suit that fit him like it was painted on. He held his champagne flute high and waited for silence. The room gave it to him immediately. "I want to thank everyone for being here tonight," he said. His voice carried easily across the room. "Derek and Vanessa, you've made us so proud. This venue, this celebration, it's everything we hoped it would be." He paused for effect. Classic Jason. Some of you might not know this, but Ashford Mill holds special meaning for our family. We've had our eye on this property for years. It represents growth, ambition, the kind of legacy we want to pass down. I felt Ellen's hand tighten on mine. Jason smiled and looked directly at me. "My brother Tom is here tonight. Some of you might remember when Tom helped us look at this place years ago. He was involved in the early stages, back when it was just a concept." A few people glanced my way. Polite acknowledgement. "But don't worry," Jason continued, his smile widening. "He doesn't actually own anything here." The room erupted in laughter. Not everyone laughed. Ellen didn't. Neither did I. But most of the room did. They thought it was a harmless joke, a little ribbing between brothers, the kind of thing families do. Jason raised his glass higher. "To Derek and Vanessa, may your future be as bright as this beautiful venue." "To Derek and Vanessa," the room echoed. I lifted my glass. I smiled. I took a sip. Then I pulled out my phone under the table and opened my email. Ellen watched me do it. She didn't ask what I was doing. She already knew. The email was simple. 3 sentences. No subject line. I hit send and put the phone away. Jason was still standing, soaking in the attention. He caught my eye and winked. Actually winked, like we were in on the joke together. I winked back. Dinner was served 20 minutes later. Filet mignon, roasted vegetables, some kind of reduction sauce that probably had a French name. People ate and talked and laughed. The DJ started playing music. A few couples drifted to the dance floor. Ellen leaned close. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." "That was cruel." "It was." "What did you send?" "A reminder." She didn't press. She never does. Ellen has been with me for 32 years. She knows when to wait. I finished my steak and watched the room. Vanessa's parents were dancing. They looked happy. They had no idea their new in-laws were about to implode. Derek was talking to some friends near the bar. He looked happy too, ignorant and happy. Jason was making rounds, shaking hands, accepting congratulations. He stopped at our table around 9. "Tom, Ellen, glad you could make it." "Beautiful wedding," Ellen said. Jason beamed. "We wanted to do it right. Derek deserves the best." "He does," I agreed. Jason looked at me carefully. He was trying to gauge my reaction to his toast, trying to see if I'd been hurt or embarrassed. I gave him nothing. "No hard feelings about the joke, right?" he asked. "Just having a little fun." "Of course not." "Good. Good." He clapped my shoulder. "Enjoy the rest of the night." He moved on to the next table. Ellen waited until he was out of earshot. "When?" "Monday morning, 9 a.m. "How bad?" "Everything." She nodded slowly. "Good." The rest of the reception passed in a blur. Cake cutting, bouquet toss, the last dance. People started filtering out around 11. Ellen and I stayed until the end, mostly because leaving early would have looked suspicious. When we finally walked to the parking lot, the air was cold and sharp. Our car was parked near the back, away from the main entrance. The lot was mostly empty now. A few stragglers were saying goodbye near the valet stand. I unlocked the car and opened Ellen's door. "Tom." I turned around. Derek was walking toward us. He'd loosened his tie and lost his jacket somewhere. He looked drunk and happy and young. "Hey, Uncle Tom, heading out?" "It's late. Thanks for coming. I know it meant a lot to Dad." I almost laughed. Almost. I'm sure it did. Derek swayed slightly. "Listen, I wanted to say about what Dad said during the toast. He was just joking around. You know how he is." "I do." "Cool. Cool." He grinned. "This place is amazing, right? Dad says we might host events here, corporate stuff. Really build it into something special." "That sounds ambitious." "That's the plan." Derek stuck out his hand. "Thanks again for coming." I shook his hand. His grip was weak and clammy. "Congratulations on the wedding." "Thanks, man." He wandered back toward the venue, probably looking for Vanessa. Ellen got in the car. I closed her door and walked around to the driver's side. Before I could open it, I heard footsteps. Jason emerged from the shadows near the building. He wasn't smiling anymore. "We need to talk." "It's late, Jason." "Now." I glanced at Ellen through the windshield. She was watching us. I held up one finger, 1 minute. Jason moved closer. "What did you do?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "The email. I saw you send it during my toast." "I send a lot of emails." His jaw tightened. "Don't play games with me." "I'm not playing anything. I'm going home." "You're angry about the joke." "I'm not angry." "Then what was the email?" I looked at him for a long moment, really looked at him, my younger brother, the golden child, the one who always landed on his feet, the one who thought he was untouchable. "You'll find out Monday," I said. "Tom, good night, Jason." I got in the car and started the engine. Jason stood in the parking lot watching us drive away. In the rearview mirror, I could see him pull out his phone. Too late. The damage was already done. Ellen didn't speak until we were on the highway. "Do you think he knows?" "Not yet." "Will he figure it out?" "Eventually, but not in time to stop it." She was quiet for a mile. Then, "I've been waiting for this for 7 years." "I know." "He had it coming." "He did." Another mile passed. "How did it feel?" she asked. "Sitting there while he humiliated you in front of everyone?" "Honestly?" "Always." I smiled. It felt like winning. We drove the rest of the way home in silence. The house was dark when we pulled into the driveway. Ellen went inside while I sat in the car for a few minutes, thinking about Monday morning. Thinking about Jason's face when he realized what he'd lost. Thinking about how nobody owns anything until they actually own it. And sometimes, not even then. Before we go any further, hit the hype button, take a second to subscribe and like the video. It really helps the channel grow. And tell us in the comments, what would you do in this situation? I didn't sleep much that night, not because I was anxious, because I was running through the timeline in my head, making sure I hadn't missed anything. By 3 a.m. I was certain everything was in place, every clause, every condition, every signature. Jason had given them to me himself. Ellen found me in the kitchen at dawn, staring at the coffee maker. She poured 2 cups without asking and sat down across from me. "Tell me the story again," she said. "You've heard it a dozen times." "Tell me anyway." I took a sip. The coffee was strong and bitter, exactly how I liked it. 15 years ago, Jason came to me with an idea. He'd found this old textile mill outside town, Ashford Mill. It was condemned, falling apart, probably full of asbestos, but he saw potential. He always does. He wanted to buy it, renovate it, flip it, but he didn't have the capital. Banks wouldn't touch it, too risky, too expensive. Ellen nodded. She knew this part by heart. So he asked me to partner with him. I had the liquidity. He had the vision. We'd split it 50-50, he said. Equal partners. Brothers building something together. And you believed him? I believed him. I stood up and refilled my cup. Outside, the sun was starting to rise. Orange light filtered through the kitchen windows. We structured it through a holding company, Ashford Properties LLC. I was listed as the primary member. Jason was secondary. The mill was purchased under the LLC name. Why primary? Because I put up 90% of the money. Jason contributed 10% and his time. We agreed that once the property was renovated and profitable, we'd restructure, equalize the ownership, make it official. But you never did. No, we never did. Ellen sipped her coffee. What happened? Jason managed the renovation. He hired contractors, handled permits, dealt with the city. I stayed hands off. That was the agreement. He'd run operations. I'd provide capital. And it worked. It worked beautifully. Took 3 years, but he transformed that building. Exposed brick, modern amenities, event space, corporate rentals. Within 5 years, it was generating serious revenue. So why didn't you restructure? I sat back down. Because Jason stopped talking about it. Every time I brought it up, he'd say we should wait, let it mature, build more value first. And I let him. Because he was my brother. Ellen's expression darkened. He was planning this from the start. Maybe. Or maybe the opportunity just presented itself and he took it. What opportunity? 7 years ago, Jason started telling people he owned Ashford Mill, not we. He'd introduce himself as the owner. He'd give interviews to local business magazines. He'd host events and take all the credit. And you let him. I confronted him once. He laughed it off, said it was just marketing. People don't understand LLCs, he said. It's easier to have one face, one name. He promised the ownership structure would stay the same. But it didn't. No, it didn't. I finished my coffee. 3 years ago, Jason tried to buy me out. Offered me a lump sum for my share of the LLC, claimed the property had plateaued, said we should cash out before the market turned. What was the offer? $200,000. Ellen's eyes widened. The property's worth millions. It is now. It was worth over $3 million even then. And you said no. I said no. She leaned back in her chair. That's when he started freezing you out. That's when it became obvious, yes. Before that, I thought it was just ego. After that, I knew it was deliberate. He stopped sending financial reports, stopped returning calls about the property, started making unilateral decisions without consulting me. Why didn't you sue? Because I didn't need to. The operating agreement had protections built in. What kind of protections? I smiled. The kind Jason forgot about. Ellen studied me. The conditions. The conditions. Tell me. I pulled out my phone and opened a document. It was the original operating agreement for Ashford Properties, LLC. 23 pages of legal language that Jason had signed without reading carefully. Section 7, Clause 4, I said. Any transfer, sale, or restructuring of ownership requires unanimous consent of all members. Any attempt to circumvent this clause results in automatic forfeiture of secondary member rights. Ellen blinked. Meaning? Meaning if Jason tries to sell the property, transfer it, or restructure ownership without my consent, he loses his stake entirely. Did he try? Last year, he approached a developer about selling Ashford Mill, told them he was the sole owner, started negotiating terms. The developer did their due diligence and found my name on the LLC registration. They contacted me to confirm. And you said no. I said no. I also reminded Jason about Clause 4. What did he do? He backed off, apologized, said it was a misunderstanding, promised to include me in all future decisions. Ellen laughed bitterly. But he didn't. No, he did something worse. I opened another document on my phone. This one was a rental agreement dated 6 months ago. Jason started renting out Ashford Mill for private events, weddings, corporate retreats, high-dollar bookings. He kept all the revenue, didn't report it to the LLC, didn't distribute profits. That's embezzlement. Technically, it's breach of fiduciary duty, but yes. Ellen stared at the document. How much has he made? Conservatively? $500,000 in the last 6 months alone. Jesus. And last night's wedding was the crown jewel. He charged Derek $50,000 to rent the venue. Didn't disclose that he owned it. Made it seem like a generous family discount. Derek doesn't know? Nobody knows, except Jason, and now Vanessa probably. Ellen stood up and started pacing. So what does the email do? It triggers Section 7, Clause 8, which is, if the primary member provides written notice of material breach, the secondary member has 72 hours to cure the breach or forfeit all ownership rights. The notice I sent last night documented every violation, every unauthorized rental, every undistributed profit, every misrepresentation of ownership. Ellen stopped pacing. And Jason can't cure it. He can't. The violations are factual. The revenue is gone. He spent it. So, on Monday, when the 72-hour window closes, Jason loses everything. The LLC, the property, all of it reverts to sole ownership under my name. Ellen sat back down. She looked at me with something between admiration and concern. You planned this. I planned for this. There's a difference. Is there? I didn't answer. She reached across the table and took my hand. He humiliated you last night, in front of everyone. He made you look small. He made himself feel big. That's what he needed. And now? Now he gets to feel very small. The sun was fully up now. Light flooded the kitchen. Ellen squeezed my hand. What happens when he realizes? He'll call me. He'll threaten. He'll beg. He'll offer to make it right. Will you let him? I looked at her. Really looked at her. My wife of 32 years. The woman who'd watched Jason undermine me for the better part of a decade. The woman who'd sat quietly at table 7 last night while 200 people laughed at her husband. No, I said. I won't. She smiled. Good. Sunday morning, I woke up to my phone ringing. 6 a.m. James Holloway. Tom, turn on the news. What? Channel 7. Now. I grabbed the remote and turned on the TV. Channel 7 was running a local business segment. The headline made my stomach drop. Local developer accuses brother of property theft. Jason's face filled the screen. He was sitting in a professional studio wearing a suit, looking composed and sympathetic. The interviewer asked, Mr. Harrington, you're claiming your brother stole Ashford Mill from you? Not stole exactly. But he exploited a technicality in our partnership agreement to seize control of a property we built together. a property that was meant to be our family's legacy. Can you elaborate? 15 years ago, my brother and I formed a partnership to renovate Ashford Mill. We agreed to be equal partners, but my brother used his position as the primary LLC member to trigger obscure clauses that terminated my ownership. Over a joke I made at my son's wedding. The interviewer's eyes widened. A joke? I made a lighthearted comment during a toast. My brother took offense and decided to destroy me. Have you tried to resolve this? I've tried everything, but my brother won't negotiate. He won't even speak to me. He's more interested in revenge than in family. I muted the TV. Ellen appeared in the doorway. How bad is it? He's painting himself as the victim. Will people believe him? Some will, enough to matter. My phone started ringing, texts flooding in, people I hadn't spoken to in years, asking if the story was true. Clients, former colleagues, family friends. I didn't respond to any of them. James called back. Tom, we need to get ahead of this. I can arrange a counter-interview. No. Jason is controlling the narrative. If you don't respond, let him talk. The legal documents speak for themselves. This isn't about legal documents anymore. It's about public opinion. I don't care about public opinion. You should, because Jason just turned this into a PR war. I hung up. Ellen sat down next to me. He's smart, I'll give him that. He's desperate. Same thing. The rest of Sunday was a nightmare. The interview went viral on local social media. People took sides. Some defended Jason, some defended me. Most just enjoyed the drama. By Monday morning, the story had spread beyond the local news. Regional papers picked it up. Business blogs, even a few national outlets ran brief mentions. Developer brothers feud over historic property. I stopped reading after the first 3 articles. Rachel called from the mill. Mr. Bennett, we've had 12 more cancellations, all citing the negative publicity. How bad is the damage? If this continues, we'll lose half our bookings for the quarter. Can we survive that? Financially, yes, but our reputation, I understand. Do what you can to reassure clients. I will. But Tom, people want to hear from you. They want your side of the story. They won't get it. I hung up. Ellen was watching me from across the room. You can't stay silent forever. Watch me. Tom, what do you want me to do, Ellen? Go on TV and call my brother a liar? Drag our family drama even further into the spotlight? I want you to fight back. Jason is destroying you and you're just letting it happen. He's not destroying me. He's destroying himself. It doesn't look that way to anyone watching. She was right. To the outside world, Jason was the wronged party, the brother who'd been betrayed over a joke, the father trying to protect his son's legacy, and I was the villain. Tuesday morning, I went to the mill early. I needed to be in that building, needed to remind myself why this mattered. The parking lot was empty except for Rachel's car. I walked inside and found her in the office, going through contracts. Mr. Bennett, I didn't expect you this early. Couldn't sleep. She nodded. I'm trying to salvage what I can. Some clients are willing to wait this out if we can offer discounts. Do it, whatever it takes. Rachel hesitated. Tom, can I speak freely? Please. I've worked here for 8 years. I know Jason. I know what he's like. And I know what you're doing is legally justified. But legally justified isn't the same as right. Derek didn't deserve this. Neither did Vanessa. I didn't do this to Derek. Jason did. Maybe. But you had the power to stop it, to soften the blow. You chose not to. I looked at her. Is that what you think? It's what I know. Rachel gathered her papers and left the office. I sat alone in the silence, her words echoing. You had the power to stop it. Had I? Could I have structured this differently? Given Derek a small stake? Protected him from the fallout? Maybe. But that would have meant showing weakness, letting Jason win, even partially, and I couldn't do that. Could I? My phone buzzed. A text from Ellen. Come home. We need to talk. I drove home at noon. Ellen was sitting on the porch, waiting. What's wrong? She handed me her phone. It was open to a news article. Derek Harrington hospitalized after apparent suicide attempt. My hands went numb. When? Last night. Vanessa found him and called 911. He's stable now, but Tom... I couldn't hear the rest. My ears were ringing. My vision tunneled. Because of me. Because of Jason. Because of all of this. Ellen took the phone back. The article doesn't mention you specifically, but people are connecting dots. Social media it's bad. I sat down on the porch steps. Tom, you need to end this, now, before someone else gets hurt. How? Give Jason something. Restructure the LLC, make peace. If I do that? I looked at her. That's not fair. Nothing about this is fair. But it's true. We sat in silence for a long time. Finally, I stood up. I need to think. Don't think too long. I went inside and called James. Tom, set up a meeting with Jason's lawyer. Today, if possible. Are you restructuring? I don't know. But we need to talk. James was quiet. I'll make the call. The meeting was set for 4 p.m. at James's office. Jason would be there, so would his attorney. So would I. Ellen drove me. I couldn't focus on the road. My mind kept returning to Derek in a hospital bed. Vanessa sitting beside him. The wreckage of a family destroyed by pride. My pride. Jason's pride. Same thing, really. We arrived at James's office at 3:50. Jason was already there, sitting in the conference room with his lawyer. He looked older, grayer, beaten. When I walked in, he stood up. We stared at each other across the table, 2 brothers, 2 enemies. James closed the door. Gentlemen, thank you for coming. Let's try to find a resolution. Jason's lawyer spoke first. My client is willing to drop all public statements and legal challenges in exchange for a 25% stake in Ashford Properties, LLC. No, I said immediately. Jason leaned forward. Tom, please. No, you violated the agreement. You stole from me. You humiliated me. And now you want a reward? I want my son to have a future. Derek's future isn't my responsibility. It's yours. You could have stopped it. So could you. We were both standing now, across the table, across 15 years of resentment and betrayal. James tried to intervene. Gentlemen, let's take a breath. Give me back the mill, Jason said, or I'll make sure everyone knows what you did to Derek. I smiled. Do it. Tell everyone. See if I care. Jason's hands clenched into fists. You've become a monster. I learned from you. That's when Jason lunged. Jason came across the table fast, faster than I expected for a man his age. His hands went for my collar, grabbing fabric, pulling me forward. I stumbled. The table between us shifted. James shouted something. Jason's lawyer stood up. Ellen screamed from the doorway, but I didn't hear any of it clearly, because all I could hear was Jason's voice, low and venomous. You destroyed my son. I grabbed his wrists, tried to pull them away, but Jason had the advantage of surprise and rage. He shoved me backward. I hit the wall, hard. The air left my lungs. You destroyed everything, Jason said. Everything I built. I found my footing and pushed back. Not to hurt him, just to create space. But Jason wasn't letting go. His fingers dug into my shoulders. His face was inches from mine. Stop it, James said. Both of you, stop. Jason's lawyer grabbed his arm, tried to pull him back. Mr. Harrington, this isn't helping. Get off me. Jason shrugged him away. I looked into my brother's eyes. They were wild, unhinged. This wasn't the composed man from the TV interview. This was something else, something broken. Jason, I said quietly, let go. Why should I? Because this won't fix anything. Nothing will fix anything. You made sure of that. He was right. Nothing would fix this. Derek was in a hospital. Vanessa was gone. Jason's reputation was destroyed. The mill was mine. The damage was permanent. I stopped resisting. Jason felt it. Felt me go slack. His grip loosened slightly. "I'm not giving you the mill," I said. "But I'll give Derek something." Jason blinked. "What?" "A trust fund, managed independently, enough to give him a fresh start. Somewhere else. Away from all this." "That's not enough. It's all you're getting." Jason's hands fell away. He stepped back, breathing hard, looking like he might cry or scream or both. You can't fix this with money." "I can't fix it at all, but I can help Derek, if you let me." Jason's lawyer cleared his throat. "Mr. Bennett, are you formally offering to establish a trust for Derek Harrington?" "Yes." "In what amount?" I looked at James. He was already calculating. "$500,000, James said. "Enough to relocate, start a business, build something independent." Jason shook his head. "He doesn't want your charity." "Then he doesn't have to take it. But I'm offering." Silence filled the room. Ellen spoke from the doorway. "Take it, Jason. For Derek's sake." Jason looked at her, then at me, then at the floor. "I want it in writing," he said finally. "A formal trust. Irrevocable. Derek's name only." "Done," James said. "And I want you to visit him, in the hospital. Tell him yourself." I hesitated. Ellen squeezed my shoulder. "Tom." "All right," I said. "I'll visit him." Jason nodded slowly. "Then we have a deal." His lawyer started drafting terms. James pulled out a laptop. Ellen guided me to a chair. I sat down and put my head in my hands. What had I become? The meeting ended at 6 p.m. Documents were signed, terms agreed upon. Derek would receive $500,000 in an irrevocable trust, managed by an independent fiduciary. He'd have access to the funds for education, business ventures, or relocation. Nothing else. Jason left without saying goodbye. His lawyer shook hands with James and followed him out. Ellen drove me home. We didn't speak. There was nothing left to say. Wednesday morning, I went to the hospital. Derek was in a private room on the 3rd floor. Vanessa was sitting beside his bed, holding his hand. She looked up when I walked in. "Tom." "Vanessa." Derek was awake, pale, thin. He looked at me without expression. I approached the bed slowly. "How are you feeling? Why are you here?" "To talk." "I don't want to talk to you." Vanessa squeezed his hand. "Derek, listen to what he has to say." I pulled a chair close, sat down, looked at my nephew, this young man I'd known since birth, and saw a stranger. "I'm setting up a trust fund for you," I said. $500,000. You can use it however you want. Start over, somewhere new." Derek stared at me. "I don't want your money." "I know, but you need it. I need my father to not be destroyed. I need my life back." "I can't give you those things." "Then what good is your money?" I didn't have an answer. Derek turned away. "Get out." "Derek, get out." Vanessa walked me to the door. In the hallway, she spoke quietly. "Thank you for the trust. It's more than I expected. It's the least I could do." "Is it?" I met her eyes. "Yes." "Tom, Derek may never forgive you. You need to be prepared for that." "I am." "Are you?" "Because you don't look prepared. You look like someone who just realized what they've done." She went back into the room and closed the door. I stood in the hospital hallway for a long time. Nurses passed, doctors, families visiting loved ones, normal people living normal lives, and I was standing there holding the ashes of mine. I drove back to the mill. Rachel was in the office, working late. "Mr. Bennett, I heard about the trust. News travels fast. Small community." I sat at the desk, Jason's desk, my desk. "How are bookings?" "Stabilizing. The trust announcement helped. People see it as you trying to make amends. Is that what it is? Rachel looked at me carefully. I don't know. Is it? I didn't answer. She gathered her things. I'm heading out. Do you need anything before I go? No. Thank you, Rachel. She paused at the door. Tom? For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. With the trust. It doesn't feel right. It rarely does. After she left, I sat alone in the office. The mill was quiet, empty, beautiful and cold and mine. All mine. I thought about Jason, about Derek, about Vanessa, about Ellen's words. You're becoming the thing you hated. Was she right? Had I become Jason, or had I just finally learned to fight back? I stayed in the office until midnight, looking at financial reports, reviewing contracts, running a business I'd won through legal manipulation and ruthless enforcement of terms Jason had foolishly agreed to. Everything was legitimate. Everything was justified. Everything was hollow. Thursday morning, Ellen found me asleep at the desk. She shook my shoulder gently. Tom, come home. I am home. No, you're at work. Come home. I let her drive me back to the house. The break-in damage had been repaired. New locks, new door. But it still felt violated somehow. We sat in the kitchen. Ellen made coffee. James called, she said. The trust is finalized. Derek signed the acceptance papers this morning. Good. Is it? I looked at her. What do you want me to say, Ellen? I want you to admit that you went too far. I enforced a legal agreement. You destroyed your family. Jason destroyed our family. I just refused to be destroyed with it. Ellen set down her mug. Do you even hear yourself? You sound exactly like him. I'm nothing like him. Aren't you? You're sitting here alone, miserable, having won everything and gained nothing. That's Jason's life. That's what he's been living for years. I stood up. I'm going back to the mill. No, you're not. Ellen, sit down, Tom. Something in her voice made me obey. She leaned forward. I have been your wife for 32 years. I have supported every decision you've made. I sat quietly while Jason humiliated you. I stood by while you planned your revenge. I held your hand through all of this. I know. But I won't watch you become him. I won't watch you sacrifice everything good in your life because you can't let go of being right. Tears filled her eyes. You were right, Tom. Legally, morally. Jason stole from you. He deserved to lose. But Derek didn't. Vanessa didn't. And I didn't deserve to lose my husband to this obsession. I reached for her hand. She pulled away. Fix this, she said. Really fix it. Or I'm done. She walked out of the kitchen. I sat there, alone, with the weight of everything I'd won crushing me. I didn't sleep Thursday night. I sat in the living room, staring at the wall, thinking about Ellen's ultimatum. Fix this, or I'm done. How do you fix something this broken? Friday morning, I called James. I want a restructure. What kind of restructure? Give Jason 10% of Ashford properties, enough to save face, not enough to control anything. James was silent for a long moment. Are you sure? No, but do it anyway. I'll draft the papers. Next, I called Rachel. I'm stepping back from day-to-day operations. You're in charge now. Make the mill profitable. Make it respectable. I don't care how. Mr. Bennett, this is not a request. Understood. Then I drove to Jason's house. I hadn't been there in years. It was a large colonial in an expensive neighborhood. Perfect lawn, perfect landscaping, everything Jason wanted people to see. I knocked on the door. Jason answered. He looked terrible, unshaven, rumpled clothes. The TV interview version of Jason was gone. Tom, we need to talk. I don't have anything to say to you. I'm giving you 10% of the mill. He stared at me. What? 10% ownership, enough to have a stake, not enough to control operations. Why? Because Ellen asked me to fix this, and this is the best I can do. Jason leaned against the doorframe. I don't understand. Neither do I. But I'm tired, Jason. I'm tired of fighting. I'm tired of winning. I'm tired of all of it. So you're just giving up? No. I'm choosing my wife over my pride. Jason looked at me like I was speaking a foreign language. I destroyed you. I humiliated you. And you're giving me 10%? Yes. Why? Because you're Derek's father, and he needs you to be something other than a failure. Jason's eyes filled with tears. I am a failure. Then be a failure with a stake in a profitable business. Use it to rebuild. Or don't. I don't care anymore. I turned to leave. Tom. I looked back. I'm sorry. For everything. I know. Do you forgive me? I thought about that question. Did I forgive him? Could I? No, I said. But I'm giving you 10% anyway. I drove back home. Ellen was in the kitchen making lunch. I gave Jason 10%, I said. She turned around. You did? Yes. Why? Because you were right. I was becoming him. Ellen crossed the room and hugged me. Hard. Thank you. For what? For choosing us over winning. We stood there for a long time holding each other. That afternoon, James called. The restructuring is complete. Jason signed the papers. He now owns 10% of Ashford Properties, LLC. Good. Tom, I have to ask, do you regret this? Every second, but I'd regret losing Ellen more. James laughed. That's the smartest thing you've said in weeks. Saturday, I went to the hospital one last time. Derek was being discharged. Vanessa was packing his things. Tom, she said, I didn't expect to see you again. I wanted to tell Derek something. Derek looked up. He still looked fragile, broken, but alive. What? Your father now owns 10% of the mill. I've restructured the LLC. He has a seat at the table. Derek's eyes widened. Why would you do that? Because he's your father, and you need him. I don't understand. You don't have to. Just know that he has a chance to rebuild. And so do you. Vanessa touched my arm. Thank you. I nodded and left. Sunday morning, Ellen and I went to the mill together. It was the first time she'd been there since the wedding. We walked through the building, looking at everything Jason and I had created, everything we'd nearly destroyed. It's beautiful, Ellen said. It is. Are you going to keep it? For now. Eventually I'll sell, but not yet. Why not? Because I want to prove I can run it better than Jason did. Not out of spite, out of pride. Ellen smiled. That's a better reason. We walked to the office. My office. I sat in the chair and looked out the window at the property we'd fought over. Ellen stood behind me. Was it worth it? I thought about the question. Really thought about it. Derek in a hospital bed. Vanessa leaving. Jason broken. My relationship with Ellen strained. Months of stress and anger and revenge. For 10% given back and a hollow victory. No, I said. It wasn't. Would you do it differently? Yes. How? I would have walked away, years ago. The first time Jason tried to freeze me out, I would have sold my stake and walked away. Why didn't you? Because I needed to win. Ellen squeezed my shoulder. And did you? I looked at the mill, at the empire I'd won, at the cost of everything else. No, I said, I didn't. Monday morning, I called a staff meeting. Everyone gathered in the main event space. Rachel, the caterers, the maintenance crew, the administrative staff. 20 people who depended on this place for their livelihoods. I stood at the front and looked at them. Thank you all for your patience during this transition. I know the last few weeks have been chaotic, but I want you to know, Ashford Mill is stable, your jobs are secure, and we're going to move forward with integrity and professionalism. Rachel raised her hand. What about Mr. Harrington? Jason owns 10% of the company. He'll have input on major decisions, but Rachel is in charge of operations. I'm stepping back. Murmurs spread through the crowd. I'll still be involved, I continued. But this place needs fresh leadership. It needs someone who isn't carrying the weight of a family war. After the meeting, Rachel pulled me aside. Are you okay? Honestly? No, but I will be. What are you going to do now? Go home. Be with my wife. Try to remember who I was before all this. And the mill? The mill is yours. Make it something to be proud of. Rachel smiled. I will. I drove home one last time from Ashford Mill. Ellen was waiting on the porch. She'd made coffee. We sat together, not talking, just being. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. Thank you. For the 10%. And for Derek's trust. I don't deserve it. I typed a response. No, you don't. But he does. Ellen read over my shoulder. Are you two going to be okay? No, but we're not going to destroy each other anymore. That's something. Is it enough? It has to be. We sat in silence for a while. Then Ellen asked the question I'd been avoiding. Do you regret taking the mill? I thought about the wedding toast, about Jason's laughter, about the email I'd sent, about everything that followed. I regret how I took it. I regret what it cost. But I don't regret standing up for myself. Even though it nearly destroyed you? Even though. Ellen leaned against me. What are you going to do with it? The mill. Run it well, prove I can, then sell it in a few years, walk away clean. And Jason? Jason will have his 10%. He can rebuild from there, or not. That's his choice. Will Derek be okay? I don't know. But he has $500,000 and a chance. That's more than most people get. Ellen was quiet for a long time. Then, I'm proud of you. For what? For choosing me over winning. I didn't choose you over winning. I chose you over losing everything. She smiled. Same thing. Tuesday, I met with James one last time to finalize everything. The LLC restructure, the trust, the operational changes. Everything was documented, legal, final. How do you feel? James asked. Exhausted. That's normal. Is it? James leaned back in his chair. Tom, I've been practicing law for 30 years. I've seen a lot of family disputes. And I've learned one thing. Winning isn't the same as being right. I was right. You were. But being right doesn't always feel good. It doesn't feel like anything. James smiled. That's because you're not done processing it yet. Give it time. How much time? However long it takes. I left his office and drove to the cemetery. My parents were buried there. I hadn't visited in years, but I needed to talk to someone who wasn't involved in this mess. I stood at their graves and told them everything. About Jason, about the mill, about Derek, about Ellen's ultimatum, about choosing her over revenge. The stone didn't answer, but I felt better anyway. Wednesday morning, I woke up and realized something had changed. The constant anger was gone, the need to win, the obsession with Jason's failures. It was replaced by something else, something quieter. Regret, maybe, or acceptance, or exhaustion. Ellen found me in the kitchen. You look different. Do I? Yes, lighter. I don't feel lighter. You will. Thursday, Vanessa called. Derek wants to use the trust to move to Portland, start fresh. That's good. He asked me to go with him. Are you going? I don't know yet, but Tom, thank you for giving him a chance. He's my nephew. He deserves a chance. Friday, Jason called, the first time we'd spoken directly since the restructuring. Tom. Jason. I wanted to tell you, I'm stepping back from the business world, taking time to figure things out. That's probably smart. I'm also starting therapy, to deal with everything. Good. Silence. I know you don't forgive me, Jason said. And I don't expect you to, but I want you to know I understand why you did it. Do you? Yes. I would have done the same thing. I know. Does that make us even? No. But it makes us done. I can live with that. We hung up. Saturday, Ellen and I went to dinner. Our first real date in months. We talked about everything except the mill, except Jason, except the last terrible month. We talked about the future, about travel, about retirement, about what comes next. I want to sell the mill, I said, as soon as it's profitable again. And then? And then we leave, go somewhere quiet, start over. Ellen smiled. I'd like that. Me too. Sunday, I went to the mill one last time, not to work, just to walk through it, to see what I'd won and what it had cost. The building was empty, peaceful. The morning light streamed through the windows, illuminating the exposed brick and polished floors. It was beautiful. It was mine, and I was ready to let it go. I stood in the main event space and thought about the wedding, about Jason's toast, about the laughter, about the email I'd sent. If I could go back, would I do it differently? Maybe, probably, but I couldn't go back. I could only move forward. I pulled out my phone and called Rachel. Mr. Bennett? Start looking for buyers, high-end developers, people who will preserve the building. I want to sell within the year. Rachel was quiet for a moment. Are you sure? I'm sure. What about Jason's 10%? He'll get his share. Everything legal, everything clean. And you? I'll walk away. Finally. After the call, I sat in the empty building for a long time, thinking about pride, about revenge, about winning and losing and the space between. Then I stood up, locked the door, and drove home. Ellen was waiting on the porch. She saw my face and smiled. It's over, she said. Yes. How do you feel? I thought about the question. How did I feel? Empty, relieved, sad, free. Human, I said. Ellen took my hand. That's a good place to start. We went inside together, and for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. The mill would sell. Jason would get his share. Derek would start over in Portland. Vanessa would make her choice, and I would finally be done. Not victorious, not defeated, just done. And that was enough.